Welcome to the Bookish Ballerina Podcast, where we talk about ballet, stories, art, science, economics, music, and everything in between. I'm your host, Eleanor Stewart, and I am a rather bookish ballerina. Today, we have another episode of Laymen Talk Ballet. Two of my wonderful teaching assistants, Ellis and Ellie, have brought their most pressing questions. I hope you enjoy.
So, when do you write? Do you write at night or on weekends?
That's a great question. So right now it really depends on my dancing schedule. I typically end up writing later at night when I'm done. Right now I don't get to write quite as much as I want to, but I do have 2 projects going. And I typically do that when I get home from rehearsal. Yes. Do you want to write?
Yeah, I wrote a few things, but I just don't really finish them. I just start off and then I get bored of them.
Yeah, that's understandable. That's fun. Yes.
How long have you been dancing?
I've been dancing, 17 years? 16 years? I think 16 years. Yes.
When did you get your splits?
Ooh. 4th grade? Something like that? 5th grade? Around that time. I got my right split before I got my left split by a couple years. Do y'all have your splits yet?
I have, one of them.
Okay.
I am so close to getting my right one.
Yes, that's awesome.
What is your favorite ballet?
Ooh, y'all might know this. My favorite ballet is Giselle. I am of the opinion that Giselle is the only ballet with no plot holes. Do you know what a plot hole is?
No.
A plot hole is when a story, it'll have something that it mentions earlier, and then it's like the characters forget about it. For example, in Sleeping Beauty, the ballet, on Aurora's 16th birthday, it's like her mom just forgot that she's not going to die. She's going to fall asleep. Her mom is panicking on her 16th birthday. Anyway, there's a lot of plot holes like that. And Giselle does not have those. Giselle's a great story, and it's a beautiful ballet.
As a kid, did you do any other activities in dance?
I actually did not. I'm kind of sad about that I didn't do music. I would love to have learned to play the piano. Maybe at some point in the future. You play the piano?
Yes, I do play the piano.
That's awesome. Yes, how long have you done that?
I played it since I was 4, and then I got bored of it at age 6, and then I came back to it at age 7. So.
Very fun. That's awesome, Ellie.
Yeah. Do you like taking or teaching ballet classes more?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like them for different reasons. I would say it depends on the day. If I'm really tired, then taking ballet class is actually easier because it takes a lot of mental energy to really focus on teaching and helping my students. So when I'm tired, teaching is easier, but I love them both for different reasons. Not teaching, dancing.
When you were a kid, did you think you would become the graceful dancer you are today?
Ooh.
Did you have any other careers in mind?
I did actually, but very briefly. So I always wanted to do something with ballet since I was, when I was 3, I was like, I want to be a ballet teacher. Of course, when you're 3, you have no idea what that means. But for a brief while, I wanted to be a newspaper reporter. I actually still have a typewriter that works, which is really fun. And then at another point, I wanted to be a jockey. Do you know what a jockey is? Yeah.
They ride the horse races, or they do horse races and they ride the horses.
Uh-huh. Yes. Do y'all have career aspirations?
I want to be a professional dancer and an author.
Ooh, that combination.
Maybe a professional ballet dancer and a piano player.
Ooh, that's cool. That's really cool.
I want to learn one of the Nutcracker dances.
Yes.
Especially the Sugar Plum Fairy.
Yeah, that's a special one. Yeah, yes. Oh my goodness, Ellie, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Maybe I could play it on like the piano that we have in the dance studio.
Yes, yes. Wait, you've played just for fun during youth company class?
Yes, and I haven't played since, and I've been so sad about it.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you should do it.
What is your favorite ballet to perform and why?
Ooh, like of ones I've actually performed. My favorite was actually Giselle. That was kind of a special one because I was an understudy. I don't know if y'all know this. I was an understudy for the evil queen Mirta, it was the last show, and I found out 30 minutes before the show that I was going to end up needing to do it that night, which was kind of scary, but it was a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite memories performing to this day. I love it so much. I also really like the Nutcracker, of course. That's a fun one. What else? Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is the third in my top 3. Yes, that was special.
Were you taught the same technique for ballet as we are?
So I was taught, that's a great question. So do y'all know what technique y'all are taught?
ABT.
ABT, yes, very good. Yes, so ABT uses some Cicchetti. They use different things from a few different schools. So they use some Cicchetti, some little things from Vaganova, from different schools. I was taught mostly Russian method, which is Vaganova. But that was mostly in high school. When I was younger, I had one teacher who was RAD. Do you know what RAD is? That's Royal Academy of Dance, so that's British. And then I had one teacher who was very Balanchine. Y'all know Balanchine? Yes. Balanchine is the founder of New York City Ballet. Mm-hmm. Yes, so it's American ballet, which is not my favorite style as a dancer, but it's amazing to watch. It's so good. They dance really, really fast. It's really impressive. So I had one teacher who was Balanchine. So I've done a few different styles, but primarily like the school's curriculum was similar to ABT, but more Vaganova.
Is ABT your favorite?
Yes. I like ABT a lot just because there's so much thought behind it. The curriculum is designed for as the human body grows and the joints develop and that kind of thing. It's designed to be the safest for dancers and let them have the longest possible career, which is amazing.
Do you get stage fright?
I used to be able to say never. I still don't get super scared. If I let myself get nervous, then I get nervous. But I have to really breathe and make myself calm down. I can't let myself feel too excited before the show or I get nervous. I have to be calm before the show. And then I can be excited and happy after the show. And that way I don't mess up. Yes. Do y'all get nervous before shows?
No.
That's good. Sometimes. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It's very normal.
What is the best role you've ever had?
Ooh, the best role I've ever had is, Mirta's my favorite. That was kind of an accidental one. Belle was very special. Obviously, I love books, so dancing on stage with books was just fun. Goodness, what are some others? Swanhilda, Act 1. I did the variation, not the full ballet. Do you know what ballet that is?
No.
Coppelia. Good, Ellis. Yes, Coppelia. So Swanhilda is the main character in Coppelia, which is a comedy about a girl who, they're in a village, and there's this girl who's engaged to Franz. Her name's Swanhilda. Then there's this doll made by a toy maker named Dr. Coppelius, and the doll's name is Coppelia. She's a life-size doll. She sits on the balcony reading. It's just the whole thing. Well, when Swanhilda sees her on the balcony, she thinks it's a girl, and she waves, and she says, "Come dance with me." And then it's a doll, so it doesn't come dance with her, and she gets all mad. And then it's just a whole comedy about her thinking it's a human, and sneaking into the house, and it's a funny one. But that dance, that variation in Act 1 was a lot of fun. Ooh, do y'all know why a variation is called a variation?
No.
Do you know what variation means just in English? It's okay. Yeah, so variation is like where something is the same but a little different. So,
Like in animals.
right.
For adapting.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Good. So, so a variation has like set choreography, but it can change from company to company or dancer to dancer, and that's why it's called a variation. Mm-hmm.
When you do teach, do you prefer instructing younger or older dancers?
I like them for different reasons. Younger ones are full of joy, always. Super excited, but they have a hard time focusing, as y'all know, being assistants. And then older students are so much fun to teach. They work so hard. And y'all's age and like the older ages are more like you want to learn the information and you're not just like dancing for fun. Both are great things, but it's really cool to be able to teach the older groups where you really want to know what things are called and why we need to do it this way and all of those things. Yes.
Do you have any goals for the future?
I do. I have weird goals. So I am researching right now something called cultural economics. Do y'all know what economics is?
Money.
It has to do with money. Yes, it does. Economics is basically the study of how individual people's choices, spending choices, affects the economy. Do you know what the economy is?
Government?
Yeah. It's like all the supplies.
Yeah, supply and demand. Yeah, so it's basically everything that's sold or bought in a country, and the money that flows from person to person when things are bought and sold. When you look at that at the scale of a country or at the scale of an industry, which is like their dance industry or the movie industry or whatever, that's economics. Cultural economics is focused on the arts. So it's ballet, it's theater, it's movies, that kind of thing. I'm studying that because I am not convinced that ballet companies are structured in the best way in the United States to be able to pay dancers, their staff. I'm just not convinced. So anyway, I'm studying that. And I'm going to look at that. I would love to do a lot of fundraising for nonprofit ballet companies. Do you know what a nonprofit is?
It's when you don't get to keep like all the money.
Right. So it's where your budget, you're supposed to either spend it all, you're supposed to put it all back into the organization and keeping, working on the goal of the organization. So I want to donate to ballet companies that are not doing what I want to do in the future, but are still doing great work. So those are some fun goals, like very, very long-term goals. Yes.
How old were you when you started Point?
I was 11. Yes, which is probably younger than advisable, but only by a little bit. I know what age do we start Point is the youngest at TTB? 12, yes. Yes. So I was 11, and it was a lot of fun. I had great teachers, really, really great teachers. It was great. It was fun. It was painful, but it was good. Is there anything else you want to know about being a professional ballet dancer or teaching ballet? Ballet in college, which I know y'all know I did not do, but I know y'all, at least one of you wants to do ballet in college, right? Yes.
Have you ever thought about like moving somewhere to do ballet, or do you just want to stay in TTB forever?
I have. I want to stay here for the foreseeable future. But do you know I moved here? So I grew up in Alabama dancing with Mobile Ballet. So I moved here to dance. Who knows what the future holds? But for right now, I love being where I am. Yes. Yes. Do y'all have a dream company that you want to dance for?
Well, me and Molly Kate, another dancer, is we're thinking of making our own studio.
I love it.
And then, teaching students maybe.
That's awesome.
Ellis, you want to be a part of it?
Yeah, she was talking to me about that at class.
I love that. That's awesome. That's so cool. Yes. So do you want to train on being a ballet teacher and a ballet dancer? Or do you want to focus on one more than the other? Obviously, you don't have to decide yet.
Mostly ballet dancer.
Okay. That's awesome. That's really cool.
But
it's good to have both.
When I was younger, I thought about being a teacher at school, and now I'm thinking I can do kind of both.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
By teaching and doing ballet.
Mm-hmm. They work together really well. Yes, as a career. That's awesome.
Is it, hard managing your hair all the time, putting it out?
Ooh. It is to some degree, but it gets really easy, as y'all know, when you do it every day. It gets easier and easier. It takes me way less time than it used to, and way fewer pins, let's use correct grammar, than it used to. Yes. I would like to cut it really short, and obviously I can't do that right now if I want to put it in a bun for dancing.
You do Carrie's haircut?
I could. I've thought about it. We'll see. Probably not in the near future, but we'll see. Yes.
Is it hard managing all the schedules and rehearsals with normal classes too?
It is. It's really tricky. This year's been a challenge. Yes, it is tricky. You really have to prioritize sleep, getting enough sleep, getting to bed early enough, getting enough food. And then when you don't have a lot of time to cook at home, you have to make sure you buy food that doesn't have to be cooked, or they can be cooked quickly, but that's still healthy. So that's been a juggling thing this year. It is tricky, but it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Is it hard sewing point shoes every time you get new ones?
It gets easier. It's time consuming. Depending on which point shoes you have, which brand, it may be hard to get the needle through. So it can be painful. But if you get a good podcast or a good movie and you listen to that or watch that while you sew your point shoes, it's kind of fun. Mm-hmm.
Is it hard taking care of your feet?
It's interesting. So I actually had at one point, I had my toes start to grow crossed from point shoes. So you have to pay close attention to what your feet are doing in response to point shoes. Now I have toe spacers, which keep that from happening. But point shoes can mess up your feet, so you really have to pay super close attention. You might have to go to a foot doctor. Yes. So it can be tricky, yeah.
You wash it every night?
Oh, yes. Lots of soap. Yes, so you don't get infections. Not fun.
When you do write, what kind of writing do you like better?
I love nonfiction. That's not true. That's false. I've done nonfiction. Nonfiction is really hard. I've never published it. I prefer fiction. Usually fantasy, because that's a lot of fun. You don't have to do a ton of research either, because you can just make it up. So it's just an imaginative game. It's a lot of fun. Yes. Do you write fiction? Yeah, that's fun.
I do fiction or historical fiction.
Ooh, that's hard. Do you have to do a lot of research for historical fiction?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's impressive. I really admire people who do that. I have a friend, her name is Eliana, but her older sister is an author named Gabriella. And I'll give you that information. She's a historical fiction author, which is incredible to me. It's awesome. It's really impressive.
Yeah, I think if I ever want to write, I want to write science fiction.
Ooh, science fiction is cool.
Future.
Yes.
Spaceships.
Yes. One of my favorite books that I've read like in the last couple of years. It's called The 3 Body Problem. And it's a really intense book to read because it's written by a physicist. So it's written by someone who really understands science, but it's science fiction. So it's really cool. And it takes place over 600,000 years in the future. So it's like a long time span. But it's 3-book series. It's a lot of fun. You have to pay really close attention to the science, though. Yeah.
Do you like reading or writing better?
Ooh. I don't know. It depends on the day. It depends on how much energy I have. Reading is fun. Reading is an exploration, but so is writing. Writing just takes more thought and time.
Do you think a lot of people at the Tallahassee Ballet know that you are a writer?
I actually don't know. By now, I think a lot of people do. I don't know how many don't. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. Yeah. A lot of the teachers know, and y'all know. So I don't know.
What's your favorite book that you've written?
That I've written would be The Destiny, which is book 3. Have y'all both? I know you've read them. You haven't read them. They're fun. They're not super hard to read.
I need to get a copy.
Yes, I need to donate some. I haven't donated any to Leon County yet, but they're in the libraries where I'm from. So I need to get them in the library here. But they're a lot of fun. The last one was the hardest to write because obviously if you put something in the first book, you can't forget about it. You have to finish that thread of the story. So you have to weave it all back together, and it's hard. But it's a lot of fun. It's a good one.
Have you written any other series besides that?
I have not published any other series. When I was younger, I wrote a series about a family of dogs in a forest. It won't be published. It's not, it's not publishing quality, but it was fun. I wrote it when I was like 10, and I was sitting in a tree at my family's house. Highly recommend. It's a lot of fun to write sitting in a tree. I think that's the only other full series I've written. And then I have done a lot of different stories, and short stories, and all that kind of thing.
Do you like writing poems a lot?
I don't write poems very often. Sometimes I'll weave them into stories. They're hard. It's hard to write good poetry because it takes a lot of thought. You have to think about every word in that. It's a lot of intensity in that. Do you write poetry?
No, but so at our school it's National Library Month and National Poetry Month. So you could make a poetry thing for the library that's nice. And so I made one, and it was just yesterday, and today on the news, they were like, oh, we're going to pick a random one of these, and they picked mine. I'm like, oh.
That's awesome, Ellie. That's so cool. What was it about?
About, they're all supposed to be about libraries. So mine was using the text structures about a library. The library informs you about this. It explains you about this, describes to you about this. And
that's cool. That's very neat.
Is there a specific reason you chose to use a pen name?
Yes, actually. So I was 14 when I published my first book. And since I was not an adult, my parents didn't want me to put my real name on the books, mostly for safety reasons. And so I used the name D.E. Partridge, which is my great-grandmother's initials. So D.E.P. is Doris Eleanor Posey, which the middle name is familiar. I was named after her. And then Partridge was one of my ballet teachers growing up. She's amazing. Her name's Lee Partridge. And so that's why I picked that name.
Was Partridge ABT certified? Or?
She was not, no, but she actually helped found one. Well, she the ballet school she started was one of the ballet schools that eventually became into one and became Mobile Ballet. So she was a big part in founding Mobile Ballet. But no, she wasn't ABT certified. I don't even know if ABT certification existed when she started her school. I would have to look that up. I actually don't know how long ABT certification has existed. I need to know that information.
When it comes to choreography, do you prefer learning or teaching it?
I don't know. When you're dancing it feels like you're the paint in somebody else's painting, and it's a lot of fun because you can like add color and it's gorgeous. And then when you're choreographing, you're the painter and you're making things move and turn. Yes. Have y'all choreographed? I'll do that for fun.
Well, I can't. Well, yeah, earlier in this month, we had a Black History Month thing.
Yeah.
We had a performance at our school.
Ah.
I told you about it, I think, a little
Yes.
bit. And so it was a group of 4 girls, including me. And we all choreographed our own dance to a song. I mean, there was a girl who was kind of like the lead choreographer. We have all danced before, but they probably not ballet. It was more of a contemporary dance.
Okay.
Lyrical. But we did choreograph it.
That's awesome. That's a lot of fun. Yeah. What was I guess the theme of the dance?
Like, I don't really know.
That's okay.
It was just a dance.
Yeah, they don't all have to have themes. They definitely don't have to have themes. That's really neat. That's cool.
When you're dancing, do you prefer classical music or do you like some with lyrics?
I like both. Right now, my favorite things that I'm listening to on repeat are the Suite from Forrest Gump, which is like 8 minutes, maybe a little less than 8 minutes, by Alan Silvestri, I believe. It's gorgeous. I'm also listening to Love and War in Your 20s by Jordy Searcy, who actually grew up at the same church I did, which has words. It's great. It's a lot of fun. What else am I listening to? Oh, King and the Lionheart of Monsters and Men. So, yes, I like things with words and without words. They're just different styles.
If you had to pick, would you choose your career as being a ballerina or writing and podcasting?
Ooh. Short to medium term dancing, very long term writing and podcasting. Because you can only dance for so long and not be in pain. So short to medium term dancing, longer term entrepreneurial podcasting, writing. Do you know what entrepreneurial means?
I read it in books, but not exactly.
It's like,
exploring.
it's like making something of your own, though.
Yes, it's starting a business. Yes, it's making a business. Entrepreneurial, and there's a lot of different types of businesses. But if you're self-employed, like an author or a podcaster, or nowadays, like you can be a YouTube person and be self-employed, which is great. That's all entrepreneurial, but so is starting an accounting firm or starting a crocheting business or something like that. Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts?
Do you have any other hobbies that you would even consider taking if, like, ballet and podcasting and writing went out of their era?
Ooh.
Like, it wasn't fun anymore and you couldn't get paid to do it.
That's a good question. I don't know. I have other hobbies, but I don't know that they would be very good at money-making things. I'm learning German. I'm not very far into that, but I'd love to go to Germany in the next few years at some point. So I'm learning German, but obviously that's not a money-making thing. It's an adventure, but not money-making.
teach German class at school.
Maybe one day. I have to get a lot better than I am, but maybe one day. I can crochet, but usually I just do that for fun because it takes a lot of time. Yeah.
I know how to knit.
Oh, that's cool. Do you know how to?
I know how to crochet.
Crochet, okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I love crocheting. I cannot figure out knitting. So,
I just went onto YouTube, searched for how to knit a month ago, and I learned it on a weekend, and now I know how to knit, but I've been using kebab skewers, so I don't have any real knitting tools.
Okay. That's so fun. Well, yes, you can go to Hobby Lobby, get some knitting tools. That's awesome. Although kebab skewers is a great way to do it. I love that. That's great.
When you're dancing, do you prefer dancing on flat or on point?
Point. I love point. It makes the lines look longer. It feels more free than flat. On flat, you feel like you're closer to the ground, and on point, you don't feel quite as close to the ground, which is fun. And so I prefer point by a large margin.
What is your dream role?
My dream role is Cinderella.
In
Chris
Cinderella?
Yes, Chris Wheeldon's Cinderella. Do you know who Chris Wheeldon is? He's a choreographer. He is amazing. He's done Alice in Wonderland. He's done Cinderella. He has a bunch of different things that are original to him. He's really talented at choreography. So his Cinderella is a dream of dreams. I don't know that it will happen, and that's okay. But I love that.
At least you're in Cinderella in the movie.
Yeah. Yes. Do y'all have dream roles?
Clara or Gazelle?
Ooh, I love that. Yes. Yeah, Giselle's a great one.
I mean, my dream was the Nutcracker. As a kid, I didn't know anything else in the Nutcracker. So basically, Clara and the Sugarplum Fairy.
That's great. Those are good ones. And y'all both know a good amount of Clara, at least for TTV's version. Yeah. The unofficial understudies appear.
I had a whole dance when we're rats. Sometimes we need someone to pose in as Clara, and I'll come in, or Ellis will come in and do the whole thing.
I love that so much. I know we some of the professional company would be peeking in the windows and watching y'all, and we would just be like, "Oh my goodness, that's awesome!" I think that's the coolest thing. All right, well, thank you both for coming on the podcast. You're awesome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I hope you enjoyed that chat with Ellis and Ellie. For the latest updates on all episodes from the Bookish Ballerina Podcast, follow at the.bookish.ballerina podcast or at the.bookish.ballerina, and or leave a rating and review. We also have a brand new page on Buy Me a Coffee. Feel free to check out www.buymeacoffee.com/the.bookish.ballerina for the latest updates and behind-the-scenes insights. Thank you so much. See you for the next episode.